Have you ever wondered what life truly feels like after you hit 80? Not just the surface stuff, the slower mornings, the extra birthdays, the aches that come and go, but the deeper, quieter shifts that few people really talk about. Crossing into your 80s brings a kind of transformation that's subtle but profound. It's a chapter marked by wisdom that only decades of living can bring, but also by losses that no one warns you about. It's a time filled with deep peace, yet sometimes tinged with loneliness. A life where presence and distance walk hand in hand. These changes aren't easy to notice at first because they don't always shout. They sneak in quietly, reshaping your world and your relationships, your body, and how you see yourself. And if you're not prepared for these shifts, they can catch you completely off guard, leaving you wondering, why didn't someone tell me this before? That's exactly what we want to explore in this video. The 5 harsh realities of life after 80. Not to scare or overwhelm you, but to bring clarity, to help you face what's coming with eyes wide open, with strength instead of fear. Because knowledge is power. When you see these realities coming, you are no longer at their mercy. You can prepare. You can choose how you walk through them. You can meet the shrinking social circles, not with despair, but with intention. You can honor a body that doesn't bounce back like before with patience and respect. You can accept help without losing your dignity. You can reclaim your presence in a world that might try to overlook you. And you can redefine your purpose even when the calendar slows down. So stay with me. Because while these truths might feel heavy at times, they also open the door to something powerful: acceptance, resilience, and the chance to shape the final stretch of your life on your own terms. This is life after 80, and it's more than what you might expect. One of the first things many people notice as they move into their 80s isn't physical, it's relational. It's the quiet shrinking of the social world that once felt so full and vibrant. Friends who used to fill your days with laughter and conversation begin to fade away. Sometimes it's because they've passed on, sometimes because they've moved far away, or life's changes pull them in different directions. Neighbors who once stopped for a chat become strangers walking past. Even family visits seem shorter and more rushed. I remember a man named Walter, who's 84. Every morning for years, he'd go to the same coffee shop. The staff knew his order by heart. His friends would join him without needing to text first, a kind of unspoken ritual. But over time, those friends stopped coming. Some passed away, others moved, some just stopped driving. Walter told me, "It's strange to walk into a place where everyone used to know your name, and now you're just the man in the corner booth. That quiet loneliness, it doesn't always scream. It often hides in long silences after dinner, or walks that feel a little too empty. It's the realization that the number of people who truly know you is getting smaller, and there's nothing you can do to stop time from moving. But here's the thing, knowing this reality gives you power. Because after 80, connections don't just happen, they need intention. You have to reach out, make the calls, write the letters, find the groups or communities where you can be seen and heard. Maybe it's a church group, a weekly lunch with old friends, or even a phone call you initiate. It takes courage to keep building those bridges when some have fallen away. But if Walter can find his way forward, so can you. Because connection, even when it's quieter and smaller, is still the heartbeat of a full life. So what new door might you open today? Who might you call just to say, "I'm here"? Because the world may shift around us, but the human need to belong, that doesn't fade. One of the most startling realities many face after 80 is how differently their body responds to everyday stresses. The aches that once came and went now tend to linger. Fatigue that a quick nap used to fix might stretch into the next day or longer. What used to be a small setback can suddenly feel like a mountain. I want to tell you about Gloria, an 81-year-old woman I once met. Gloria was sharp, active, full of life. She loved tending her backyard garden, walking her neighborhood, and attending her book club. But one day, while trimming her rose bushes, she took a minor fall. Nothing too serious, no broken bones, but that fall changed everything. What followed was weeks of rest that turned into months. Her strength faded, and with it, her confidence. Gloria said to me, "I thought I was just taking a break, but my body treated it like a full stop." That's the thing no one tells you. After 80, rest doesn't always restore. Sometimes it leads to decline. The body becomes less forgiving, less quick to heal. You might wake up feeling fine, only to discover by evening that something feels off, a sore leg, a stubborn cough, or dizziness that wasn't there before. This unpredictability is hard. You can do all the right things, eat well, exercise gently, get plenty of sleep, and still find your body outpacing your efforts. You learn that recovering is no longer a given, it's a daily practice. Adapting means honoring your energy, pacing yourself without judgment, and accepting that some days will be slower than others. It means treating health not as a guarantee, but as a sacred responsibility, something you nurture every single day. The good news, even when your bounce is gone, your footing can become steadier. You move slower, yes, but with more awareness. You rest longer, but more intentionally. Because a slower body doesn't mean a weaker spirit. Sometimes it's the opposite. And in that space of gentle acceptance, you find a new kind of strength. A strength born not of youth or speed, but of wisdom and grace. As we age, something subtle begins to happen. The tasks that once felt effortless, reaching for a high shelf, driving in bad weather, or even climbing stairs, start to demand more from us. At first, it's barely noticeable, a hesitation here, a tighter grip there. But over time, those small challenges grow into barriers that quietly reshape our daily lives. And with those physical shifts come emotional ones. For many, the hardest pill to swallow after 80 is the growing need for help. It's a change that can feel uncomfortable, even painful. After decades of doing for others, of being the helper, the provider, suddenly becoming the one who needs assistance can stir feelings of vulnerability and pride. I think about Eugene, an 85-year-old man I knew well. Eugene was fiercely independent. He had lived through wars, raised 4 children, and built his own workshop with his bare hands. He took pride in doing everything himself. When his daughter began offering help, bringing groceries or accompanying him to appointments, he resisted at first. "I'm fine," he would say, brushing off her offers, but over time those weekly visits became a comforting routine. Eugene began to admit something surprising even to himself. "It's nice not having to carry everything alone. This is the shift many experience." Accepting help doesn't mean you're weak or losing independence. In fact, it's often the opposite. It's an act of wisdom, a way to preserve your freedom by choosing safety, connection, and peace. Sometimes help comes from people, a family member, a neighbor, a caregiver. Other times it's small adaptations, a grab bar in the shower, a stool in the kitchen, reminders on the fridge. These aren't signs of defeat, they're tools that help you live well on your terms. The bravest thing might just be saying, "I could use a hand," because choosing connection over isolation, safety over pride, and support over struggle is a strength that grows with time. It's not giving up, it's evolving. So when you feel the weight of needing help, remember you're not losing yourself, you're protecting yourself. And that is a powerful kind of independence. You know, there's this quiet ache that many people in their 80s face, one that often goes unspoken but is, oh, so deeply felt. It's the feeling of becoming invisible. Not invisible to the people who love you, perhaps, but invisible to the wider world. You might notice it in small ways. The cashier who talks to the person behind you instead of to you. The doctor who answers questions to your adult child instead of to you. And the waiter who assumes you can't hear, understand, or decide for yourself. It's subtle at first, maybe a few times here and there. But over time, it can happen more frequently. And even when you try to brush it off, that sense of being overlooked settles deep inside. Let me share a story about Irene, an 86-year-old volunteer at a local museum. She had lived through decades of history, knew the stories better than anyone. One day, a visitor asked the staff a question she could have answered in her sleep. Yet the question skipped right over her. When I asked Irene how that made her feel, she smiled, but there was a sadness in her eyes, a quiet recognition of being seen as part of the background rather than the fire. This is the reality for so many older adults. A society obsessed with youth often forgets the strength, wisdom, and contributions that come with age. And unless you speak up, your voice risks being lost. Not because it's not important, but because others stop listening. So what can you do? Speak anyway, share your stories, even when no one asks. Vote. Offer your opinions. Stand up, even if your knees wobble. Because every time you claim your place, you remind the world and yourself that you are not done You are not invisible. You're a living library, a witness to time, a voice that still matters. And you don't have to shout to be heard, you just have to refuse to disappear because your presence is powerful and the world still needs your story. As life slows down after 80, the pace of your days changes in ways you might not expect. The calendar empties out, the noise fades, and suddenly there's a lot of quiet space around you and inside you. That quiet can be a blessing, a chance to reflect on a life lived, to remember, to appreciate the journey, but it can also bring something heavier, an ache of regret, the "I wish I had it," or "what if I had" thoughts that creep in when you have more time but sometimes less energy or freedom to act. I think of Stanley, an 88-year-old man I met who had been a teacher for over 40 years. When he retired, he felt proud of his achievements but also hollow. "No one needs me anymore," he said one day. But that wasn't the truth. It was just that he hadn't yet found a new way to be needed. Here's the thing about purpose. It doesn't retire, it simply changes shape. Maybe you don't build houses anymore, but you build confidence in your great-grandchildren with stories from your life. Maybe you don't lead meetings, but you lead with presence, offering comfort and wisdom when someone is grieving. Maybe you don't solve big problems, but you solve loneliness with a smile or a kind word. Regret isn't about the mistakes you've made. We all have them. It's about sitting too long with those regrets without turning them into something meaningful. When you redefine your purpose, not as productivity but as presence and kindness, you start to realize there's still so much to give, not just to others but to yourself. Because maybe the most important work you'll do after 80 isn't about legacy or applause. It's about waking up each day with kindness in your heart, curiosity in your eyes, and the courage to ask, how can I bring light today, even if just a little? That's not regret, that's redemption. And the beautiful truth, it's never too late to find it. Change after 80 isn't just inevitable, it's constant. Our bodies, our relationships, even our roles in the world shift beneath our feet like waves in the ocean. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or lost in that flow, but there's a quieter truth hidden there. Change can be an invitation to slow down and listen, to see what really matters when the noise fades, to find joy in small moments, a shared smile, a familiar song, a warm cup of tea. These aren't just comforts, they're lifelines. And courage? It's not about being fearless. It's about leaning into uncertainty with open hands and a steady heart. It's choosing each day to show up, even when the path is unclear. I've met so many older adults who embody this courage, who, despite challenges, still find ways to laugh, to love, to make a difference in their own quiet way. Their strength isn't loud. It's gentle, persistent, deeply human. So if you're walking this journey, remember, embracing change is not giving up. It's a new kind of strength. It's grace in motion. What small step will you take today to welcome change rather than resist it? To turn what feels like an ending into a beginning? Your life is a story, a collection of moments, lessons, and connections that no one else can tell. After 80, that story doesn't lose meaning. It grows richer. Presence is your greatest gift now, the ability to listen deeply, to offer kindness, to be fully there for the people who cross your path. It's less about what you do and more about how you show up. Maybe your hands aren't as steady as they once were, but your voice can still comfort. Maybe your steps are slower, but your wisdom moves swiftly through conversations, through smiles, through shared memories. And here's something beautiful. The world still needs your story, your perspective, your love. Younger generations crave the guidance only you can give. Your experiences are bridges between past and future. So speak your truth, share your stories, vote for what matters, stand firm in your worth. You're not done, you are not invisible. You are a vital, vibrant thread in the fabric of life. And every day you choose presence, you remind the world your story still matters. Reaching your 80s is no small feat. It's a milestone of resilience, a testament to all the love, loss, and strength you've carried. But with this milestone come new challenges, some subtle, some hard to ignore. Recognizing the unpredictability of life and the losses that come with age isn't a sign of weakness, it's an act of honesty and courage. It's about facing reality with open eyes and an open heart. And from that place of honesty comes choice. You can choose connection over isolation, reaching out even when it feels hard. You can choose rest when your body calls for it without guilt. You can choose to ask for help, understanding that accepting support is not surrender, but wisdom. You can choose to speak up, to share your story and remind the world you're here. You can choose forgiveness of others and of yourself, and honor the journey you've lived. This chapter of life is deep and meaningful. It's where the small gestures, the quiet presence, the gentle smile, the steady hand hold more power than grand gestures ever could. So if this video resonated with you, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Share one insight you've gained or a way you plan to embrace these realities in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell to support our community and keep these important conversations going. Thank you for being here, for listening and for walking this journey with us. Your story matters now more than ever.